Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your professor today as I look at the origins of SPx football cards. Throughout the first half decade of Upper Deck's existence, they'd done a really good job of building sets that held up well. They'd started out by creating baseball's first premium brand, and they'd been successful in maintaining that premium quality with their Upper Deck cards in the years that followed. By 1993, they had to re-up the premium level because others had started to catch up, and so they, along with Score with their Select brand, Upper Deck created the SP set in order to bump up the premium brand up, not ultimately to the ultra premium, but to a higher premium mark to kind of reset the high end of cards. And as with their original Upper Deck brand, the SP brand had done a really good job of being a successfully created high-level card and maintaining that quality. Select, it had a first good year, but it kind of waned, and so SP showed that Upper Deck really did get it. And with the creation of their Collector's Choice brand for base level, they showed that they were successful at pretty much any level that they were going for with their cards. As the 90s wore on, Topps brought Finest into the discussion, and Upper Deck had to up the ante one more time. And so in 1995, they decided to expand beyond SP by creating a more elite version, and they referred to it as SPx. And the SPx cards really did establish a great high watermark. In my opinion, they are the first true ultra premium card. These were thick cardstock. They had a very elegant color treatment that was based upon the team colors. They had very fine gold trim in the card design, and it was the first card set that had all holograms throughout the entire course of it. They also had die cutting in it, and because the set was kind of small, it's not really appropriate to call it the first all die cut set. That distinction really does still hold with Pacific Crown Royale. But because it was this small set of really high-end cards, one card per pack, it was able to establish a very high-end card for high-end collectors. The card was successful enough that they were able to spread it out to all other sports. And so in 1996, it was added to football. The 96 cards were an oval with a team color and a flat standard picture of the player cutting across the top of the card, and then in the back was a hologram with two images in it. A hologram of a portrait of the player, and then in the back behind, an action shot. And there's a rectangular element to the card as well that allows the hologram to spill out of the frame of the oval. And then there's silver trim on either side, and that allows the Upper Deck logo and the SPx logo to actually sit on the outside of the oval. It's a really great design, very simple, not too impressive, but it holds up really well across all the sports, and for a 50 card set, it does just enough. They also had a gold version of all of these cards, and the gold just replaces the silver in essence. They also included one insert set, which was the Hall of Fame set, just 10 cards of the highest caliber players. The cards in this set weren't really distinctive, but it was still a very good set. They also had two commemorative cards, one for Dan Marino's record-breaking year and one to celebrate the end of Joe Montana's career. And these cards also came in an autographed form. The success of the set was great, and so in 1997 they came back and they really got into it. Now 1997 was a great year for Upper Deck design, for the upper tier cards. The lower tier cards didn't really fare that well, but the upper tier cards, they really put a lot of care into it. And SPx was absolutely no exception to that. The design is not too complex, it's a simple concept, but there's a lot going on in it. They continued the oval concept, but instead of going with a whole oval or even a half oval, they went with more of a swoosh pattern, which carries the team color through the card. They also have an outer swoosh element that creates the space where the hologram goes, and then with what essentially is part of an X on the outside, they add some more color treatments out there with a few pieces of gold, which give the card a lot of activity, but nothing in it is cumbersome. And then on the inside of the card, on the inside of the swooshes, is a flat color picture of the player, and the background around the player is a light FX or a brushed metal pattern that really enlivens the card in a great way. And I actually think that part of the card works better than the hologram. The hologram has a portrait of the player, and then in the background is just kind of a backdrop. They don't have an action shot there because the action shot was on the outside of the card. The set also comes in a gold version, and the gold color basically replaces the team colors on the card. And then the background behind the action shot is reduced to a silver card, so it's kind of a gold and silver card. They also made 2 insert sets this year. One of them was, again, the Hall of Fame card, and this Hall of Fame card really stands out. It's probably the best design of any SPX card across the entire run of the brand. In this case, they have a very prominent X pattern, and they have a gold treatment with not a mirrored gold, but an etched gold with the SPX logo spread all throughout it, which really looks nice. And then right in the middle, there's a circle and a hologram of the portrait of the player. And then over on the left side, they have a matte picture of the player with a hologram behind, kind of like in the main set, of a backdrop. The card stands out as a very bold card, and all of the pieces work together in a very exquisite way. They also made a more rare insert card called Promotion. And Promotion is kind of a busy card. It's not a very well conceived card. It's got 3 different holograms, 2 of which are portraits, and then 1 more is an action hologram. And the card is trying to do too much, and it kind of gets cluttered. It doesn't do any one thing real well. It looks great, and in any other set, it would really stand out, but both the main set cards and the Hall of Fame cards really look a whole lot better. Now, there's also a 3rd insert set of SPX, and this is not actually an SPX set. SP created an SPX Force insert set. So this particular card I'm about to talk about is actually an SP card, but you may see it pop up, so just understand its origin. The SPX Force card is a very basic concept of a thin frame around the outside with die cutting, and then a big holographic space inside with a deep set room almost with a whole bunch of SPX logos floating around in it. And then a box kind of forward from that with 4 different portraits of players in holographic form sitting within those boxes. And with the box sitting forward and then the SPX environment around it behind, it creates a really, really cool interplay between the card design and the elements in the card. And when I look at this card, all I can think is, man, if they explore this, what could they do? Unfortunately, this was the end of, it wasn't the end of holograms for SPX, but it was the end of cards based on holograms. So in 1997, they went with a big flourish, and it was like all of the idea guys dumped all of their ideas out there, and then they got it out of their system. By 1998, they pulled everything in, and they got to a more formulaic card. As with many of the other Upper Deck cards, they actually have 2 sets in 1998. The first set is, like the other SPX sets, a set without any rookies. It's a beginning of the year card. And later on, they went back and they made another set with rookie cards in it because it was 1998 and you had Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf, which was a quarterback pairing that was going to go down for years. We were going to watch these 2 great quarterbacks battle it out for their entire run as 2 legends heading to the Hall of Fame. So you couldn't pass up on an opportunity like this, and Upper Deck certainly wasn't going to. So the first set that they created is their SPX set. And the cards in this set are basically a big circle with flattened sides on either side, and they actually have kind of swoosh marks inside, kind of like a record or a CD. It's a 4-part card design, even though it looks more like a 3-part, where the top right corner and the bottom left corner are the various colors of the team. And then in the bottom right corner, there's a hologram of a portrait of the player. And then taking up almost the whole left side of the card is a portrait of the player with a brushed metal background behind him. For 98, just about every single set that Upper Deck made had parallels, and this set was no different. They made 5 different parallels, so there are 6 different versions of each of the 50 players. And each of the parallels has to do with a different kind of metal. The first parallel is their steel parallel. And these cards have basically a silver treatment across the entire card, but all of what had been silver on the base card now has kind of a pewter-like color to it. It's almost a bit orangish or brownish. And that's distinctive, as we'll get to in a second. Now, the bottom left corner and the top right corner, which again were the team colors in the base card, are technically the steel color. And we'll get to that in a second, but it looks silver. So the big distinctive element in each of these cards is to look at the X pattern right in the middle, because the base card has a silver center. This one has a brownish metallic color. For their second parallel, which is a little bit harder, they have copper. And with a copper card, you can really see where all of the metal colors are distinctively showing up in each of the cards. This is a very bright orange card, and it stands out very clearly. The third one is silver, a little bit harder, and here you can see the difference between the silver and the steel. The steel, it's primarily the X in the center, but the silver card, all the treatments around the X are pretty subtle compared to the steel, but that X really stands out. The next hardest parallel is gold. And an important element about the gold to remember is that in all of these cards, the background behind the player and the hologram, they remain silver with all of these. Now, the last parallel is their final parallel. And with this one, you can see now that the entire card is gold. Again, except for the player. He still stands out as a full color picture, but the background behind him is gold and the hologram is gold. And just in case you're not entirely sure, if you turn the cards over, every Upper Deck card has the distinctive anti-counterfeiting seal on it. In this case, it's in the form of a football helmet. And all of the cards have it in silver. For the final card, it's actually in gold. Now these final cards, they're supposed to be 50 copies of each, but they're not serial numbered. The set also has two insert sets. The first insert is the Hall of Fame set, and these cards are a real letdown, considering especially what they'd done the previous year in '97. They're okay cards, but there's nothing that really stands out about them. Conversely, the promotion cards, I think that these really do look better than the previous year. This is the one part of this set that I think really stands out. I like the final cards, but this card, which is horizontally oriented, it has an X pattern cut into the middle of it, which is a nice little treatment. But the balance of everything, the fact that the picture is a high gloss, almost a chromatic picture, the way that everything is laid out on this card, I think this is the one card in the set that actually deserves the SPx name. Now, as I said, in 1998, they made a second set in order to capitalize on the rookies. And the second set is called the SPx Finite set. And this set is a 370 card set comprising of a Series 1 and a Series 2. Each series is 180 cards, except there are also 10 rookies in the middle. And Series 1 incorporates those into the set. But as I recall, and I was doing some research before this to make sure that I remembered right, and I didn't see it, so I may change this video later on to correct this, but as I recall, the base card for these 10 rookies was in Series 1, and then Series 2 had the parallels. Now, the cards are basically 1 through 180, and then there's a 181 through 190, which is the rookie cards, and then Series 2 starts with 191 and goes through 370. So it's basically a 360 card set with an additional 10, but the numbers get a little bit shifted. And this card set is laden with subsets. It also has 3 parallels, and I'll start off by talking about the parallels. So all of the base cards have a green treatment to the card design, and they have a silver or almost a pewter logo right in the middle of the card. Then the first parallel is the radiance, and this runs across the entire set. The radiance uses a red treatment for the cards, and it has a gold logo in the middle of the card. And then they have their spectrum, and the spectrum cards are a purple color, it has kind of a rainbow effect on it, and it has kind of a holographic SPX logo in the middle. They look really cool. So each one of these parallels runs the entire set, all the way from 1 to 370, and every single set and subset card throughout has a decreasing number on the card. So Series 1 and Series 2 starts off with 90 cards, and that is the base portion of the set. And then the additional 90 cards are comprised of 4 different subsets, and the subsets are different between Series 1 and Series 2. So there are 8 completely different subsets. Plus there are the additional 10 rookies in the middle, and in Series 2, during the base section of that card set, they also have 3 different rookies, which are Randy Moss, Brian Griese, and Charlie Batch. And as I'll get to, these cards are numbered in part the same way as the middle 10 cards, and in part not. So as I go through each of the subsets, I'm going to show you each of the 3 cards and the serial numbers that go with each one. And there are a couple of subsets which have 1 of 1 spectrum cards. I haven't got to that level with my own collection, so I'm not going to show you those. The base cards in the main set are serial numbered out of 7600. And the radiance is numbered out of 3800, and the spectrum is numbered out of 1900. Now you have to take my word for it, because one of the odd things that they did where they have the serial number is in the 2 parallels, they actually ghost in the parallel name behind the serial number. And that can kind of model the ability to read the serial number, which is kind of annoying. The first subset is the Playmaker set. These cards are numbered out of 5500, 2750, and 1375. The second subset is the Youth Movement subset. These cards have an interesting little fan down at the bottom, and they're serial numbered out of 3000, 1500, and 750. The next one is the Pure Energy subset, and this has a big X right down on the bottom, and these are numbered out of 2500, 1000, and numbered out of 50. And they close it out with their heroes, and this subset is just 10 cards, and it's numbered out of 1250 and 100 and 1. Then come the rookie cards, and the rookie cards in the middle, this is where you're going to find Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. These cards are all serial numbered out of 1998. They're also numbered out of 50 and 1. The card design is the same as the regular cards, so it really blends in with the rest, and you kind of got to know that these are rookies, but when you look at the serial number, it stands out very clearly. Now, when you look at the 3 rookie cards in Series 2, they also start out with 1998, but then the radiance is numbered out of 1700, and the spectrum is numbered out of 325, which is a number that will sound familiar in a second. For the regular Series 2 base cards, they're serial numbered out of 10,100, and then out of 5,050, and then out of 325. So the spectrum cards for all of the base cards and the 3 rookies in it are all the same number, even though the rookies are otherwise much more rare than the rest of the set. The first subset is the Extreme Talent subset, and this one includes Peyton Manning. In fact, Peyton Manning shows up in a couple of these subsets, and it's serial numbered out of 7,200, out of 3,600, and out of 150. Then come the New School cards, and they have not quite an X pattern, they have an interesting zigzaggy pattern, and these are all rookies. They're numbered out of 1,700, 850, and out of 50. Then come the Sixth Sense cards, and these have a big semicircle on them. They're numbered out of 2,700, out of 900, and out of 25. And then the Uncommon cards at the end are another 10-card set, and these are numbered out of 1620 and 540 and 1. And then there's no insert set that goes along with this. There's enough going on with it, but as with many of the Upper Deck sets of this year, they do have their Upper Deck authenticated autographs, and this one is no different. So that is basically all of the cards from 1996 through 1998 for football. I'll look at 1999 and on in a later video, but I think we've been talking for long enough for this subject, so I'm going to close it out here. The SPx cards have done a very good job of really holding up over the years. They're great cards pretty much throughout. The 98 cards are a letdown. That's been pretty common for the Upper Deck sets, but they're still great cards, and they have Peyton Manning in it, so this is a set that still continues to stand as a very difficult set to complete, and a lot of people like to collect it. Now, these cards also, at least the SPx Finite, do have a tendency to chip quite a bit, so finding really good quality cards can be a little tricky to do. But they're great cards. I really enjoy collecting them, and I think most people do. So what do you think? Do you also agree that 97 is a standout year along with 95, and that the other sets don't really hold up too well? Do you think I'm a little hard on some of the other sets? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, I appreciate your watching. I hope that you enjoy this video. You'll hit the like button and subscribe, and I hope that you look for future videos coming up. And thank you very much for watching.